Most that I can remember is September school. But for me, I didn't go to school those first couple of weeks. I would go to State Fair and work in the Bob Evans the food booth. You know, my Bob Evans and my dad and their family were all buddies. You know, he was Uncle Bob to us. So here I am now sitting out here. Of course, he's no longer here. But that was the end of summer, September, school. Then we had the Emancipation. I can remember they'd always get us dressed, Vaseline our legs, which is what they did to girls then, put your dress on, and we'd go out to Bush Park. Dust, tree limbs, and then your legs and everything, you'd be filthy, but it was so much fun. They would have, what do you call it, grease poles, where they'd climb the poles. Even once, I think they even did, where they chased a hog, a greased pig. But that was the best time, and it was family. All of our family used to come in from Columbus, the ones that had moved away. So, like I always said, it was a reunion, and it was something to look forward to. You got to see the ones that, you see everybody at a funeral. And here it was, the Emancipation, it was a celebration, you know, it was fun. People would come down and stay. You know, my grandmother's house has since been torn down. It'd be full. It was just, it was something. Usually they'd get up and come early in the morning and stayed late. I know for my family, you know, we'd stay at my grandmother's or other relatives, you know, the Smiths, Guthries, Mayos. And it was just a special treat because, you know, they were coming and my grandmother would have us cooking and baking and that kind of stuff. But there was no hotels for them to stay in. They just usually come down early, you know, sometimes go back, but most of the time they stay over and leave early to go back to Columbus, or most of them were from Columbus.
What would you most look forward to whenever that
family,
time of year comes?
Family, friends, family mainly, and friends, you know, you didn't see all summer, and knew school was starting, and it was just a difference. I mean, it was just something that we looked forward to. It was important for us. You know, it was the only time that we could all get together. I'm meaning black people, and it was okay. It wasn't no big problem. There's just things that I can remember that weren't so good growing up around here. You know, there's a lot of people now that say it was racist, but I think because we lived on Buck Ridge, went to Bidwell, we didn't face it as much as maybe the kids that went to Gallia County in the city of Gallipolis. I know some of the friends that I had there who were black that went there, they did not have it as easy as we did. There was fights and everything, but I think for us it was just, we were getting together before school. It was in Bidwell. Everybody came to Bidwell, you know, the country little store. Nobody wanted to live there, be there, but they all came out for the Emancipation. Even when they started at the down at the fairgrounds, there was a difference. It wasn't the same, I guess, because you drew in more of everybody. Politicians started even showing up more, and it took on a commercial type atmosphere. You know, everybody's politicking, and you got this business in, and I mean handing out cards, and it just took away from what I thought it used to be. My grandmother always told us it was very important to go to the Emancipation for the support. And she lived on Buck Ridge, and the house, the property that we're on now, she was born there in 1903, and my father and his brother inherited it, and we're still there. And it was just important to her. She was Emancipation Queen 1 year. All she had to do was bake a cake. I remember her, Eleanor Keels, and I think Geneva Turner had to bake a cake. Her cake had orange slices. It was something. But anyway, she and I went to school together. And it's funny because even as we've gotten older, she always talks about how much fun we had growing up. It wasn't that much fun. I remember other things. And I keep thinking, where was I when all this fun was going on? That was when we were older. In Bidwell at Bush Park. That's my first recollection of any of them. I can't say whether they were anywhere else or not. I was under the impression, if I can remember, and I may be wrong, that there used to be something in Gallipolis. I don't remember. I just remember my earliest was going out to Bush Park. They put boards up between trees for the tables, stuff like that, you know, and it was just fun, different. You knew you were special. You knew you were important that day. Most of the community was my relatives, aunts, uncles. Most of the property up there belonged to my relatives. There was some that moved in, you know, established homes. Some of them, the same families are still there. Gravel roads, fun. Church was the main thing. There's a church there that was built. It's still standing. I still belong to it, and some of the same members there are the ones that grew up there. So we're still there. You know, they call it the Little Church on the Hill, small church, and everything. We were able to play on the road at night. After dark, parents knew where you were. If you started on this end of the hill and got in trouble, most of the families along the way knew about it. You get home, you get punished. I wish a lot of times they'd turn those roads back to gravel roads because it keeps people off of them. Then people didn't come up on it because they didn't want their car dusty and they didn't want nicks from the gravel. Now anybody and everybody flies through there like it's a speedway. But it was different. It was fun. It was home. I like it. You know, I moved away from here, said I'd never come back. Went away to college. Then I moved to Kansas City, moved to Texas, and I'm back home. And I can't see anywhere else that I'd want to be except there. It's still not incorporated into the city of Gallipolis. It's on the outskirts. Rather private, quiet family. We look out for each other. Somebody pulling a driveway, the family member knows. We watch out for each other. It was family. You know, we all lived there, grew gardens. Something happened, we were all right there. It's not like that anymore. I think people grow up and forget the values that you grew up with. I read something it was on TV. I was at my mother's. It was, we need to teach children so that we don't teach them as adults. And that's what we're doing now. We're trying to teach adults how to live. And a large part of that is flowed over into Buck Ridge. We've got an apartment complex up there now. They want to say all the problems and crimes start there, and it's not there. Crime's everywhere. I could walk anywhere, and a few years ago, I walked to the store about 10:30, and somebody followed me in a car, and I had never been afraid to walk on that road at any time. But it scared me as an adult that somebody was going to follow me. I had gotten to the nursing home and went in there. They called the police, and this man took off. And when the police showed up, and I had never been afraid of Buck Ridge. Never. Dad, Mom, and all of them, they never had locks on their doors. I went away to college, come back, there's locks on the doors. There's always beans and cornbread. My dad started doing that until his health started failing about 2-3 years ago. But I remember beans and cornbread. Can't remember a whole lot about food because we were too busy playing. I left here, went to college, missed out on it a little bit then. Then, of course, when I moved away from here to Texas, I didn't get home. I moved back here in '92 and started going again. Then I started making homemade ice cream, which is what my grandmother always did. So every year I had an ice cream booth. People look forward to it, still ask me about it. Elaine Armstrong and her husband did fish. That became a favorite. They had fish fillet and belly washers. Dad and Mom had...
What's a belly washer?
Lemonade. Lemonade. You know, everybody had lemonade. You know, you squeeze your own lemonades and things, but of course you're not commercializing. You ended up getting the other stuff. Dad and Mom would have beans and cornbread, sausages. You know, it was just, that was the best thing about the Emancipation, was coming to get the food. Somebody would have pies and cakes. It was just, something to look forward to, the whole 9 yards, seeing people, the food, everything.
Know about it.
I think everybody should know their history. That's the main thing, knowing your history, where you come from. Through the years, I've studied myself, you know, as far as what the Emancipation was about. I don't remember so much emphasis being on Abraham Lincoln's proclamation through school. So I took the time to sit down and read that. Then I read the Constitution from everything, and I'm telling you, it's very important that we become informed of who we are and what we are and what we are. I think a lot of people fall short on what they know about who they are, where they come from. There was a lady here in the family and asked me today, did I know these people? And they're older people. I think I should have, that it should have been passed down through the lines. That we should be able to say, well, this was your grandparent, this was so on and so on. And we don't know anymore. So for me, the emancipation is important because it is a celebration for Abraham Lincoln signing of the proclamation freeing the slaves. Freedom is never free. I say that you really have to work at it. You have to get out there and vote. You have to do things in your community. You have to be involved in your church. That's where it all starts, really, is in your church. You learn your values, family, community. Our church today, when I went to church, we didn't even have a dozen people there. And these are members that were there. The young people can't get up and go. Well, you know, it's just, I'm disappointed that we don't have such a big turnout today. And I really can't complain because I have not really been as involved this year as I should have. And it's not to say that I would made a major difference. But sometimes it only takes that one pebble in the stream. That one pebble, the ripple effect. It's really kind of hard to say exactly what all it represents, but I think it still goes back to what I can remember. It's for us. I remember the slight discrimination, you know, here riding with my dad on weekends. We'd gone over to West Virginia. We stopped at a light, and I remember the car next to us, there was a family, a white family, and what they said in reference to us. My feelings were extremely hurt. I've learned since then that words can't kill you. And like Medea says, what's that thing she says? It's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. There's a lot of truth to that. To me, it's important. We're all people in the first place. We're all God's creation. We all started out in one Adam and Eve. It's hard to explain what it is because it's here. I can become emotional about it. There's a lot of things I can say that I remember. It hasn't all been good. But for the most part, a lot of things, a lot of good things when you can sit back and laugh and smile about it, are good ones. I don't want to ever see a time when we don't celebrate it. How many nationalities celebrate something continuously?